passionate, energetic, and focused. And
Right.
we've hired Amir Khan as our brand ambassador.
Coming on to the topic of careers, how do you sustain a long term career? What is required? As you told, you read books. Do you go for some trainings? Do you do anything else to sustain a long term career?
Exactly, you're right. Uh, a long-term career is about honing your skills, and to hone your skills, first of all, you need to know that what your skills are and what you're valued for. So I would not because I entered into an industry which was a very small industry. Education industry was very small at that point of time. Now the word technology has also been added to it. Now it's ed tech. Ed
Right.
tech is growing now. Okay, but if you talk about education, coaching, test prep, it was a very small industry. And out of that industry, also 90% of the people were teachers. And in very early, in first 3 months of my, entering into Lakshya, I thought that I'll not be a teacher because, my strength has always been management and extracurricular. So I want to focus on business, right? So there were not of lot of skills that I used to master by doing some courses. Like, if you are pursuing a career in IT, there are a lot of languages that you can learn. So that was not quite there for me. The only thing I could have done was an MBA, but I could not pursue that MBA because, running a startup and, going for evaluations and then probably, expanding itself is such a great teacher that you don't need to do any MBA. Trust me. Okay. But
Right.
for other people, it is very important to identify in the kind of industry that you're working in. And then once you've identified the industry that you're working in, then, you should have a, ladder kind of a view that, what is going to be your next step, your next move, and where do you see yourself going. And if you see yourself going at point X, what are the kind of skills that you're going to be requiring to, being delivering at that point. And, as I earlier told you in this interview as well, that it's very important to network and talk to your seniors, because your senior will be able to give that view, or probably an industry stalwart who's already reached that point would be able to give that view that, what is the kind of skills that you require to, perform at this level. And once you've locked into that point, then it's very important to reverse engineer. And then it's very important to pace up your journey, that, if you see yourself going over there in 5 or 8 years, what is the kind of skills that you require, and when do you want to pace those skills, what are the milestones that you want to set for yourself to be at that level. Okay, so it's very important to sharpen up your skills. And I feel so good in this environment when webinars are happening everywhere,
Mhm.
and, there's a lot of learning that you can do. So you should keep on upgrading your skills, and you should be passionate about your profession, whatever you are seeking. So I'm a great, jisko bolte hain ki, I would greatly endorse upskilling yourself.
Right. Right. So this, I think, it's a very riveting question, and it's that: do you think you have found your career, or are you still working towards finding that dream passion of yours? Because when I talk to a lot of people, they tell me that they still are in search of something that they truly want to do. And when I say this, I mean when I talk to the people who are in their 30s or 40s. So do you think you have found that it thing in life?
Yeah, I would say that probably I was one of the earliest in my entire batch to find my calling. And I
Right.
would just narrate one incident to, support this thing. So there was one EdTech summit that I had gone to attend in Delhi. It was in Pragati Maidan. It was a huge EdTech fair. So obviously, once this thing ends, then we all dispersed and we thought that we'll meet our own batchmates. So at night I reached Gurgaon, and, all those 5, 7 batchmates, my old friends, got together. And I'm pretty sure that this was almost like 3 to 4 years after my me entering into Lakshya. So this was somewhere around 2010 or 11. Okay, so everyone else was also probably, 3 years into their jobs and seen a lot of things. So we sat. I mean, we thought that it's more of a talking kind of a trip, and let's avoid going to a club or a bar, and let's sit together and just order and just talk about each other's careers and lives. So, everybody started speaking, and, there was a lot of negativity into everyone's vocabulary. Like, someone was telling that, my boss is from that ethnicity, and he's, preferring those regional people, and I'm not enjoying my job. Someone was saying that I've been benched and I don't have any project to do. Someone else was saying that, I have no vision, I don't know where I'll see myself in 3 years. And I was like, I was full of energy. And when my turn came, I kept on speaking and speaking for like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And those all five, six guys were just watching me in awe. And they were like, and once my friend Akshay Sharma, who's in US, he complimented me. Ki Sahil, you feel like a breath of fresh air. Where do you get your energy from? How are you so passionate? How are you so motivated? I'm like, I don't know why, but I think so. I found my calling. I found my purpose. I have my team. I know that I inspire people and I interact with people. I counsel students. So my life is so vibrant. I'm full of purpose. So yes, I would say that I found my calling pretty early in my career. And I would say that, to my message to all you youngsters would be that stop chasing that elusive dream job. Stop chasing that elusive dream CGPA. Just focus on yourself and focus on your mind, build your personality and try to find your calling. Have that vision of your life, have that, find that purpose of your life. And that purpose can be, working for environment also. It can be as simple as that. It can be just, you are from Bangalore, you would understand. Bangalore has got a very modern outlook, I would say, and a
Right,
lot of people pursue their careers over here, and they're YouTube sensations, they're Instagram kings and queens,
right,
right? So this is very important in today's world. If you will be shoved and pushed towards something which you are not doing and you're not motivated at, it's just that you're counting your own years, that after 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, when your bubble is going to burst and when you're going to feel frustrated. So the message to all the youngsters would be that said imbibe these things very early in your life. And when I say early in your life, first year of engineering, second year of engineering, the entire engineering is your experimental lab where you should be trying a lot of different things through
right,
which you can find your purpose and calling. Your
right,
calling could be also traveling. Your calling could be just scaling up mountains, and you could do a startup in travel as well, right?
right,
So it's very important to find your purpose and vision which drives you. And also Sunidhi, you need to be very mature enough. अब कोई मुझे आके बोलता है कि यार वीडियो गेम खेलना मेरा पैशन है. Okay,
mm,
so you need to double click onto that statement. That is
right,
it playing, or you're interested in the logic behind it, the graphics behind it, or you want to learn the coding language in which that
mm,
entire game has been coded. So the statement needs not be shallow. It needs to be deep. If you
right.
say that something is your passion, you need to know your stuff and you need to go deeper into it, right?
So, in conclusion, you should know what you like to do, but at the same time, you should be able to execute things on it. You should be able to materialize it into something much more concrete. So, moving on to questions about starting up, right? What actually goes on in founding or establishing a company, especially when you're the first few people to talk about it? And how do you convince people to look at your ideas, or how do you get funding? Basically, what are the initial stages of starting up like?
Yeah, so it's a very interesting question, and every entrepreneur would love to answer this question. So, first of all, guys, it takes a lot of toll on you. Starting up a new company and raising an idea which is
Right,
pretty new and that could solve a lot of problems later, but at that point of time, people would just oppose you like anything.
right,
Okay, you need to be intrinsically driven for a cause. Motivation will not sail you through, as it is very temporary. So I'm not a great fan of motivation. I'm a great fan of having rituals. Okay, so there's
habits,
a lot of difference between motivation and rituals.
right,
Rituals are something which you do daily, and you don't need motivation to do it. If you just hear this talk, you would be motivated, inspired for one day. But what after that? You will hear this again or again, or you then probably you would say कि यार इसको तो सुन लिया, अब मैं चार बंदों को और देखता हूँ. So motivation won't sail you through.
right,
Okay, so you will need to be able to innovate unless you feel for the cause. This is very important. So once you're starting something, that idea will have a shelf life. Okay, and then probably if you're if you're not feeling for the cause, there'll be no innovation. And if there is no innovation, you'll not be able to grow, because if you are doing something, there'll be 10 other people also trying their hand at the same thing. So what will differentiate you from them would be that how strongly you feel for the purpose. Okay,
mm,
so now if I talk about education as well, let's take a pretty simple example. Okay, we started up with a standard offline coaching institute in a tier 3 city like Patiala. So many people must have done that. I mean, I know a lot of other IITians also, a lot of other people as well who started their startups. But could they make that very big like we did in Vedantu? No, a lot of people could not do that. So what differentiates us from any other people is our vision, our purpose. And the purpose was never to earn money and buy fancy cars and have a big house. The purpose and the vision was always to do something bigger and to solve problems for upcoming generations of students.
Right.
Okay. So that if that purpose is clear, na, that passion, energy, and conviction will be there. Your eyes will light up. And this passion is very contagious.
Right.
Every human being, even if someone who does not know English and is hearing me at this point of time, so my voice modulation, my body actions will tell them that this guy is talking something very passionately. Okay,
Mhm.
and this is how you attract people.
Right.
So it is never that pitch, a perfect pitch that you always tell ki yaar, or that Excel file or that B plan, that elevator pitch that we talk about, and those numbers. No, I mean humans. I mean, yeah, numbers are important, but humans get attracted towards your vibe also,
Emotions,
and
yes.
every human has got that sixth sense also कि यार यार ये बंदा ना पैशनेट लग रहा है. ठीक है,
Right.
और सब लोग कर रहे हैं एजुकेशन के अंदर, बट यार ये कुछ मस्त कर रहे हैं, इनकी टीम समथिंग, ये कुछ कर देंगे यार, ये फोड़ डालेंगे. ठीक है.
Right.
So that aspect is very important.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you start a startup and then attracting people, these things matter a lot. And keep it simple, guys. I mean, वो किस principle होता है ना, keep it simple students हम बोलते हैं. Follow
Mhm.
that simplicity. Okay,
Right,
go
right.
for that purpose, go for that passion, and feel for that cause, and people will get attracted like a magnet to you.
So you talked about Vedantu standing out, right? And you talked about this earlier as well. Why do you think Vedantu stands out, and what is it that Vedantu aims at doing, which is much more than just explaining the concepts or giving IIT J or NEET coaching?
So I'll answer this question very simply to you. We are passionate about that one student. End of statement. This defines everything what we do at Vedantu and what we've ever done at Lakshan. So we hold very true to the prime person that we are responsible for, and that is a student. So
Right.
once you keep student at center, now just we do that brainstorming stage कि यार एक बच्चे को क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है, what are the stages
Mhm.
that he goes through. We first define those different stages, and then we try to nail out each and every stage of life that he can face problem at. Okay, so it is not only about teaching physics, mystery, maths, and biology. It is also about counseling. It is about stress busting. It is
Mhm.
about telling them the importance of eating right food, which would enhance their performance. It is about picking up their phones at 1 a.m. at night, and probably standing with them to counsel them that if they've had one bad performance. It is about telling them the importance of exercising. It is about teaching them how to meditate. Okay, it is about counseling their parents that how to deal with teenagers. Okay,
Right.
so I mean, we are very passionate about a student. So
Right.
this is a secret of success of Vedantu. We are not passionate about evaluations. We are not passionate about how big empire that we are going to create. We are just very simplistic in our thought process that we want to do good for the student and the parent fraternity. That is it. And this leads to all those amazing ideas. I mean, I just would want to talk about an amazing idea that we have come up through, a VIP, Vedantu's improvement promise. So I'm just giving you the example of these brainstorming sessions कि इससे क्या निकल के आता है.
Mhm.
Okay, अब idea क्या था कि we're passionate about student, we want to solve their problems, and we are passionate about parents, we want to solve their problems. तो student की problem क्या है कि student को हर कोई बंदा आके advice दे जाता है कि यार तूने अच्छा करना है ना एग्जाम में, तू 100 सूर्य नमस्कार किया कर, तू ना बादाम वाला दूध पी के जाया कर, ठीक है, तू
Mhm.
ना ये चीज किया कर, वो चीज किया कर. उसकी प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि अगर उसके मार्क्स आ गए तो पेरेंट भी क्रेडिट ले लेगा, ठीक है, टीचर भी क्रेडिट ले लेगा. बट अगर उसके मार्क्स नहीं आए तो सब लोग उसको बोलेंगे कि यार इट्स अबाउट यू, यू डिड नॉट स्टडी. Okay,
Mhm.
and at this point of time parents cannot give someone an accountability to get that student pass in the examination or get grades. So
Right.
Vedantu thought that why can't we take that accountability, why can't we take this responsibility? So we came out with a very interesting promise that if a student will not improve on their previous grades, that probably, if you're studying in seventh class and you scored 75%, okay, and if you study at Vedantu for 1 year, okay, and in eighth class final exams, once you'll get those through final exams, you'll score more than whatever you have scored in your seventh class. In spite the class has increased, the difficulty level has increased, but we will ensure that we will improve your performance. Or
Right.
otherwise, if this does not happen, we're going to refund your money back. So now this is a very bold call to be taken. And
Right.
we've hired Amir Khan as our brand ambassador,
Yes.
and he's doing advertisements throughout. Okay. And this entire promise is data-based promised. Okay. We have been able to do that in past, and that is why we are pretty confident that we'll be able to deliver it at a big level as well.
Right.
Okay. So just answering your question, we are so passionate about one thing, and the secret is to think about your consumer. Okay. And then we are able to come up with such innovative thought process, which were industry leading. Now, since Vedantu is doing it, I think so. After 5 or 10 years, every school will have to do it, because we have taken up this, this thought process, and we are saying that, yeah, if you're not taking accountability, it's a wrong number. Come
Mm-hmm.
to us. We are taking accountability, and we are sticking our neck out, and we are putting our neck on the line that if we do not deliver, we'll refund you the money. And now that's such a big statement to say. No person, no educational institution in the world ever does that, and we are trying to do that.
Right. Also, I think it is a very noble cause, right? Because when you're studying for especially big exams like IIT JEE, it's not only about the concepts, but it's also about just integrating your life in it. And I feel like when a startup is doing that, and if you're able to stand out, it also creates a chain reaction. Other people also start looking at you, and they also start getting inspired by you and also doing the same thing. So I think it is a very fascinating thing to hear about. Right. So moving
Yeah.
on to COVID and just 2020 and 2021, how do you think COVID and lockdown has changed the entire edtech sector? And do you think this is going to be a permanent change? Do you think people are going to completely leave offline coachings and opt for online ones?
So yeah, so first of all, the change has been immense. The impact has been immense, and this has leap forward the entire cycle of edtech industry. Okay, because what happens is that whenever you're launching a new thing, it takes time for people to adopt that thing, and to probably start doing it in your daily lives. Like even when first Amazon came or Flipkart came, it took people 5 to 6 years to completely shift on it, and for Flipkart to penetrate deeper with people of higher age groups as well, it took them time. So what COVID has done is that they have exponentially paced up that cycle, that everyone was forced to adopt the online learning.
Right.
Okay, so yes, it has immensely helped us, but I mean, I would not say that it has changed the course of time. This was supposed to happen. Okay, but
Mhm.
it was supposed to happen 5 years later. It has happened in 1 year. So
Mhm.
that is the delta that we have received, and that exponential pace we have attained. Okay, so that was the answer to your first question. Second question is, yes, there will be a permanent change, but the permanent change will not be um that offline totally vanishes off and online is the only way of teaching. No, the permanent change is going to be that people are going to acknowledge that online form of learning is a very important form of learning. Okay, and technology can enable a lot of things which offline cannot do. But at
Right.
the same point of time, people would also realize that there are a lot of things which offline can do and online cannot do. Okay. So both the worlds, both the ecosystems will coexist in a hybrid form.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll be, what is a hybrid form? Hybrid form is picking up the best of both the worlds and, making into a new model. Okay. Trust me, no one has the answer at this point of time. Even we are
Mhm.
also exploring a lot of hybrid models,
Right.
right? How it will shape up and how will it will transpire, no one knows. But definitely offline cannot be ignored. And I would not want to ignore offline. I have a small daughter. Okay, I would not want to just make her sit in make her sit in front of a screen like a couch potato and consume on this screen. No, that's not the right way that you would want your children to grow up. So offline is definitely there. I mean, you cannot replace a school with a coaching institute. School
Mhm.
gives you peer learning, those, moral science, those etiquettes, and you learn so many. You learn about human beings.
Yeah.
And while
Right.
you are sitting in front of a screen, you don't have that exposure.
Right.
So online cannot replace offline. But at the same point of time, offline has got a lot of limitations which online can pitch in. And hence comes a talk of a hybrid model. So
Right.
that is how my vision is and how it's going to shape up.
So, lastly, we have the rapid fire round. This is a segment that I do with everybody who comes on the show. So, let's just get right into it. So, the
Oh,
first
I'm not.
question: three words that you use to describe yourself.
Passionate, energetic, and focused.
Focus. Yes. Second question: what does Sahil Harjai do in his free time?
Oh, I get very less free time, but I play with my daughter, and I love having conversations with my wife, and then make dreamy future plans. I love dreaming. I'm a dreamer. Yeah, a
Same. I
dreamer would
feel
one
like
word. Yeah,
right.
would
Yeah.
describe me. I'm a dreamer.
Right. I think dreamer is one word that I relate with as well because whenever I just have free time, I just have those scenarios in my head where I'm just doing something great.
Yeah.
Right. Third question: what was that one new hobby that you picked up during the lockdown?
Uh, New hobby. I was very busy in lockdown, to be very honest, because that was a time when we were flooded with a lot of business. So I was the most busiest ever in past 2 years. I've never been this busy. So I had no time to pursue any new hobby. But the hobbies that I picked up in past, I ensured that I continued on them, and that was physical fitness. So I used to do my home workouts. That was the only hobby I could pursue. And second thing was that uh, I read a couple of spiritual books as well. So these are only two things that I could do with limited time that I had.
Right. So the fourth question: if Sahil Rajai would look at the 18, 19, 20-year-old himself in the mirror, but if he was living in the age of Gen Z, what would he tell himself?
Wow, I mean, you guys are living in a very beautiful world at this point of time, and this is going to improve only from here on. So a lot of technology and a lot of things are at your uh, with you guys at this point of time at your disposal. So I would say that probably I will be more health conscious. At that point of time, people did not think about being healthy and exercising, and I would love to travel more because now travel is pretty easy as compared to it was a project at that point of time.
Mhm.
So if I was 19, 20 years at this point of time, I would really scale on to these two things. Be a very avid exerciser, try a lot of different modes of exercising, and would love to travel.
Right. Right. Last question: did you have any role model growing up, or do you have a role model now?
Yes, I think so. Role model, I would say, is the one whom you would want to emulate in some aspect of life. So for me, that has been my father because he came from a very humble family background and he was really passionate about being a doctor and then probably he did his MD as well. So he fought a very hard life. So he was always my role model and he was very good with human beings and he taught me about life more than books. He never asked me for my grades. So yeah, till that point of time, till my job and till now also, he's my role model. But lately, I get really inspired by Virat Kohli because everyone is a fan of Sachin Tendulkar because he was very gifted person. But
Yes.
Virat Kohli has really worked hard and he inspires a lot of people that hard work can lead to miracles. I mean, not to miracle is the word that he has done with himself, and I'm really inspired with his entire life. The way he speaks, when I first saw him, I felt that he's a very bigda hua brat with all those tattoos in his arms and everything, and abusing
Mhm.
people here and there. So I was not a fan, but the kind of things that he has done with his career, and
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Virat Kohli. And I would want that I would like to emulate his sense of purpose and his sense of zeal that he wants to win his vision for the Indian cricket team as a leader. If I have those things in me, I could take my entire company to new places. So Virat Kohli is my recent role model.
So, with this, we come to an end of the podcast. Thank you so much for coming here today. There was a lot to learn from, and it was such a candid conversation. I absolutely loved it. And thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedule. I know it was very hard for you, but thank you so much for that.
It has been my pleasure because I really wanted to share my story as well. And I really feel that a lot of youngsters should watch this thing. And I was not at all a success in my college, but
Mhm.
I turned around the tables after when I went out for job. And so life has been pretty interesting. Life is very exciting. Never get demotivated with small setbacks in your life, and just try to enjoy this beautiful phase that you
Right.
are a human being and you are blessed to be living in this free world right now.
Mhm.
So just be happy about your own existence, and the God will and your conscience will also tell you where to go.
Right.